In this video, we're going to talk about the 3 top reasons your AC is icing. And the good news is these are things that are easy to fix oftentimes, and you can do this on your own without the need to call an HVAC company. We're going to tell you how to remedy the situations. We're even going to explain why these conditions cause the symptom of AC icing. It's the most misdiagnosed diagnosis of anything we see in HVAC on a regular basis. But before we get started, if you haven't done so already, please make sure you smash that like button for the algorithm and consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't done so already. We put out daily and weekly content on how you can get the best HVAC for your home, and liking and subscribing to the channel is a free way that you can show your support, and it is much appreciated if you find this content helpful. So let's talk about the first culprit that almost is always the reason your system is icing, and that is airflow. Contrary to what you might think, when your system is icing, it's not as complicated as you might think, where you might think there's actually something wrong with the system. A lot of times it can be something as simple as a dirty filter or too many registers being closed, or even undersized ductwork, which we'll talk about a little bit later in the video and how you address that. Because what's happening inside your air conditioner during the refrigeration cycle is that it's not actually just blowing cold air, it's actually transferring heat from inside your home to outside your home through the refrigeration circuit. And the way it does that is by absorbing heat inside the evaporator coil, which sits on top of your furnace or inside your air handler. So if you didn't know that you had an indoor coil or an indoor portion of your air conditioner, and you just thought that your condenser or your air conditioner was the box that sits outside of your house, well, you were wrong. And it's okay, because honestly, when I first went into HVAC, I thought the way my temperature went up and down in my house was just the thermostat on the wall. I had no idea what actually went into it until I started learning about the condenser and how it ties into the evaporator coil. But the reason that an evaporator coil or your indoor coil will start to ice up if it's getting not enough airflow is because what's happening is the temperature of that refrigerant is getting below freezing. And so the moisture that would normally be coming off of that coil in the form of condensation instead starts to freeze as soon as the temperature of that coil gets below 32 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, the reason lack of airflow affects this is because if there's not a high enough volume of airflow going across that coil, then what happens is it's not absorbing enough heat to basically maintain the temperature of that refrigerant in its ideal set point, which is going to be somewhere between 45 and 60 degrees on the indoor coil, depending on the load that is on the house, aka how hot it is and how the system is running. Now, some of the other issues related to airflow that we'll talk about, in addition to a dirty filter or too many closed vents, and the reason I point those out first is because those are simple things that you can go and change right now. So literally, if you haven't changed your filter, you could run your system without a filter, and if it starts to thaw, then you are in good shape. Now, it's not going to thaw on its own. You're going to want to remove the filter, open up all the registers in the home, and then turn it into fan mode so that the system starts to thaw, because once ice has built up on the coil, it's a lost cause and you're not doing yourself any good. So if you just turn the fan into on mode, or you can even turn in the furnace, and that'll thaw it very quickly. You'll probably get a puddle of water in your mechanical room from all the water just running off that iced coil. But there's 2 other things that can restrict airflow that are often overlooked. Now, number 1, the blower wheel. And oftentimes the blower wheel can get dirty, and what people don't realize is that something as small as a millimeter of dust on each of the fins can reduce your airflow by 20 or 30%. I've seen a dirty blower wheel reduce airflow enough, especially at higher altitudes, to where systems are icing just because they have a dirty blower wheel. Now, I don't advise you to clean the blower wheel on your own, because this is typically something that's done by a technician, because it does involve removing the entire squirrel cage, and it can be a little complicated. If you're handy and comfortable with that sort of thing, have at it, but by all means, we do recommend you call a technician for that particular repair, because it's a little bit more complex. And the second airflow issue that's often overlooked is what's called a dirty evaporator coil. So that indoor coil I just mentioned earlier, that is an A-frame that sits on top of your furnace, that is the indoor portion of your air conditioner. If that itself gets dirty, which is often very common, especially when we go into a home and we are greeted by 2 or 3 or 5 friendly fur babies that come up wagging their tail, we have a good idea that the reason the AC is iced up is probably because all of their hair ended up clogging the evaporator coil. And the easiest way to do this is basically, again, this is something that's typically performed by a technician, so I don't advise you do this, but you at least know what's going on, is that if you have a dirty evaporator coil, it's basically as simple, and sometimes it's not so simple to actually access the evaporator coil, but you'll pull off the service panels for the evaporator coil, inspect it, see if it is in fact dirty, and if it is, there's a cleaning solution that you can use on that. The big thing is you don't want to damage the fins or the coils. Again, I don't advise you to do that, but that is something that is a very common problem that will cause your system to ice up if it gets dirty to the point that your system just has very poor airflow. It's going to ice up, and those are going to be the culprits that are going to help you actually fix the problem. Now, the second thing that causes your system to ice up, and this is the most common cause, and this is also something that you can fix on your own, is a dirty condenser outside. Now, your condenser or the box that sits outside, and it might be a round or a square box if you have a traditional style system, or if you have something like a Daikin fit, which normally will give you an airflow issue air code related to a condenser being dirty. So you won't actually have to go out and check. You'll know something's wrong because it will tell you that something's wrong in the app or in the thermostat. But the reason that a dirty condenser will cause the same issues that a dirty evaporator coil or dirty air filter or any other airflow restriction causes is because it does not allow for proper heat transfer from the refrigerant at the condenser. So the combination of a dirty condenser in conjunction with dirty evaporator coil and or too many registers being closed and or a dirty filter at the same time, these are all things that are going to add up to basically a recipe for disaster for your system. It doesn't stand a chance to run without icing. And the easiest way to clean off your condenser is basically, if you're not comfortable doing this, you can call a technician and they can come out. But the easiest way to do it is to just grab a garden hose. Do not use a pressure washer because you want this to be a low pressure setting. You do not want a high pressure setting. And you basically want to clean off your condenser outside and just try to angle if you put your thumb over the hose or use a low pressure setting on your nozzle, again, you just don't want to use a pressure washer, and you just angle it downwards to try and get most of the debris that's off your condenser off. That will fix a lot of icing issues. We see this especially in areas where people have trees that put off a lot of pollen, and when they drop that pollen, or trees like weeping willow or cottonwood, they tend to clog up the condensers very quickly and cause a lot of issues. And so normally when we start getting AC icing service calls in the beginning of the summer, we know that it's because it's a combination of the pollen clogging these condensers and or it was just a really dirty condenser that hasn't been cleaned in a while. The second thing that I would check that's something you can do on your own and is one of the most common causes of an AC system icing. Now, there's a few other reasons your system might ice that I'm going to talk about now that have to do with chronic system icing conditions. So if your system ices up all the time, or it ices up always on the hottest days of the year and it's never really worked properly, we're going to talk about what causes that. But before we do, if you found this content helpful so far, please make sure you smash that like button for the algorithm and consider subscribing to the channel. Again, if you haven't done so already, it's a free way you can show your support and it is much appreciated. And the last way, or the most common cause of a system icing that is related to a chronic condition, is when a system is oversized or not sized properly for the ductwork. Unfortunately, we actually run into this not just in Colorado and other states as well, but especially in Colorado. And the reason is because we are at elevation here, or we're at higher altitudes than you are in the rest of the country. So for example, if you're watching this video and you're in Salt Lake City, Utah, which is another market where you have air conditioning as well as heating, but you're at a higher elevation, you might run into this often as well. And the reason is that if your ductwork is sized for sea level conditions, once you get up to altitude, you're actually moving 20 or 30% less airflow. For example, my home is at 8,000 feet elevation. I live in the Front Range of Denver Metro. And at 8,000 feet, our air is almost 30% less dense than what it is at sea level. And as a result, if a duct sized for your house is, let's say, 6 inches, and it can move somewhere around 80 to 100 CFM, depending on the design conditions, well, that would be at sea level, but at 5,000 feet, it might actually be moving less than that. And it's also going to vary depending on how the system is designed and whether or not you have enough total airflow. But the way that you can address this is basically twofold. One is either increase the size of the ductwork if the ductwork is the culprit, or two is decrease the size of the system if your system was just oversized for the home in the first place and was basically the wrong size system that was put in. Now, we do run into this personally as a company. Maybe once a year we'll have a system that was missized or we missed something on the install, and what we do is we rip it out and we put in the right size system. But what happens when it's the right size system for the house or the right size system for the load of the house, but it's the wrong size system for the ductwork? And again, like I said, this is common, especially in areas where ductwork is maybe undersized, or maybe you tried to put in a larger system because you like it cold in your house. Believe it or not, most systems are designed to hit a temperature between 72 and 78, depending on where you're located. So in Denver Metro, for example, our design parameters when builders are building a new home is to hit 74 degrees for most homes. So that's how they're designing the system. And most of the time, it'll get below that. It'll hit 70 degrees or it'll hit 68 degrees if you like it really really cold in your house. But on those hotter days, if your system is struggling and you're saying, hey, why isn't my system getting below 74 degrees? That's because that was the design conditions of the system for your house. But if you're someone that really likes it cold, what you're going to need to do is increase the ductwork, make ductwork modifications in order to account for enough total airflow to make sure you can keep your house at whatever temperature you like, and account for putting in an oversized system or putting in a system that's sized for a lower design temperature than what is normal in your area. For example, in Phoenix, Arizona, design conditions are typically around 78 degrees. Now, most people are able to hit 76 or 74 with their systems, even though my in-laws look at me like I'm crazy when I set the temperature at 74 degrees when I visit Phoenix. But the bottom line, if you have a system that is icing on a continuous chronic basis, the next culprit I look at is ductwork in system design conditions. Now, it'll typically take a professional or an HVAC contractor to come out in your area and take a look at this that's familiar with it, because the other things that can cause a system to ice up, like a restriction in a filter dryer or in a TXV or a bad TXV or some other issue with the system, is going to be best left to be diagnosed by a professional, because it's a little bit more complicated and they require more complex tools. But either way, we hope you found this content helpful in diagnosing why your system is icing and understanding how AC icing works. And if you happen to be in the market for HVAC system replacement, or if you just recently moved and you need a permanent HVAC company to take care of your regular maintenance and service, click the link in the description below to be connected with a local contractor in your area. We've actually teamed up with a handpicked group of contractors nationwide that maintain the highest customer service ratings on Google, as well as technical excellence. So if you've watched this show and you thought, wow, I'd really like to work with these guys, but it's too bad that they only service a few select areas, I feel you, and that's why we've decided to partner with the best local contractors nationwide in your area, some of which have even been featured on our show. This way, you can find a contractor that's familiar with the latest technology, whether that's cold weather heat pumps or inverter-driven heat pumps that work well on battery backup or solar or inflow radiant heat or any other technology that's specific to your climate or your region. We're partnering with those contractors. So click the link in the description to request an appointment with us or with a vetted HVAC Dope Show contractor in your area. And right now, there's a few videos popping up on the screen that YouTube thinks you should watch. So make sure you check those out if you haven't done so already, and we will catch you on the next episode.